Back for more. Here we are today with Michelle Castro of Absolute Bliss Skin Spa Studio in Castro Valley, California. The odds of a Castro in Castro Valley are frankly inspiring. She's actually got me thinking that, hey, maybe I should move to Austin, Texas, so that I can be just as cool as her as a Michelle Castro in Castro Valley. Michelle, thanks for being on the show. How in the heck are you?
I'm well. How are you? Thank you for inviting me on. I'm super excited to chat with you about everything.
Yeah.
Everything you want to know about the studio.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, let's get started here. I'm gonna do something a little bit different than what I normally do, which is to give the listeners a bit of an extra push to stay on and listen because you're worth listening to. And here's proof. Okay, by the way, listeners, listen to this. Her reviews are insane. She's a massage therapist, owner of a skin spa studio out in, again, Castro Valley, California. And here are some quotes raving about Michelle. And I start with this one here. Michelle is the absolute best. Okay, mic drop. Need I say more? No, I do not. However, I'm going to do it anyway, okay? She has changed my entire outlook on massages. The body work she has done on me is incredible. My waist is slimmer. We'll talk about that in a minute. My back problems are virtually gone, and my life has changed. And she's absolutely on top, crushing it. Her Google reviews are perfect. People love her. She's a wealth of knowledge. And again, I'm tickled to have her on the show today. Okay, preamble out of the way. We're in the company of greatness. So let's dive into some meaty stuff. What do you say?
Well, I mean, I thank you. That's a review that I got, and I like to read my reviews, and when I get them, they always leave me feeling a little warm inside because I know the work that I'm putting into each and every client is appreciated. You know, it's amazing to do something that you love, something that you're super passionate about, and for people to appreciate the gift that I'm giving them, whether it be with body work or skincare.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that we'll talk about here down the line is your pricing, because your pricing is really high in a good way for massage therapists. And I love it. And I am delighted to see that finally someone that I've had on the show is out of the gate a believer in their own value, and that's reflected in their pricing. And what you'll notice about that review that I just read about you, which there's another 1,000 of them, is that she didn't say, God, she's amazing, she changed my life, but oh, her prices were so high. Because guess what? Price is arbitrary. So lift your prices, listeners. If you're a massage therapist and you're underpricing yourself, you're wrong, because people don't care if you deliver the value in such a way, such as Michelle does, because they want the change, the transformation. You are the ones that can deliver that. And you should know your value, and again, charge your or set your prices accordingly. But anyway. Well, so Michelle, you're in California, the land of lovely lockdowns during COVID-19, the insanity, the fest. I want to share with the listeners what I just shared with you before the show, because I think it's going to give some of them some, let's say, recalibration, peace of mind, something of the sort. And then we'll get into how you're evolving during this crisis with your spa. So here's the quote, and I'll give you some context, listeners, first to set this up here. So this is taken from Admiral Stockdale, who was a POW in Vietnam, and he was in the POW camp for, I don't recall the exact length of time. It was a long time, longer than anyone would want to be in a POW camp, obviously. And when he was interviewed by the author of Good to Great, which is a fantastic book for business owners, by the way, you should pick it up. It's from Jim Collins. When Jim interviewed Admiral Stockdale, and he asked him, how did you survive when seemingly very few in your shoes would be able to pull that off? How did you do it? And what he distilled was what became the Stockdale Paradox. And it's this: you must never confuse faith that you will prevail in the end, which you can never afford to lose, with the discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality, whatever they might be. Admiral James Stockdale. So what does that mean to you and the rest of the listeners? Maybe I'll just turn it over to you. I mean, how do you interpret that in light of the current crisis?
Well, I think being a business owner in a business that is saturated in the state of California, quite frankly, there's a lot of places that people think that they're getting actual authentic body work, but they are not. it's important to stay connected to what your motivation is. So if you know you have something that you can give to people and it is going to be helpful and beneficial to them, to keep going, to not give up, stay connected with clients, really just reach out. If this is a good time that we're all, locked down again, to take some steps and educate yourself further on something that you want to learn about. This is a wonderful time to build your brand. This is a wonderful time to kind of think about what else you can do on top of what you're already offering that is going to bring in people when we are in a state where things are a little bit more normal. I think that the fact of the matter in my industry with what I do, people are incredibly stressed out, and we're living in times of unprecedented stress and tension, and that is showing up everywhere in people's bodies, all over the place. When I was able to reopen my business, when the lockdown was lifted, I opened up my booking calendar, and I was within 8 hours, within one full business day, 3 weeks were booked out solid. So people are looking for therapeutic touch. People are looking for authentic touch, not just some run-of-the-mill, corner spot massage. They need something that is actually going to get to it, especially with people working from home, the stress that we're all under, body mechanics, everything comes into play now when it's time to open back up. Holiday stress, all of these things. So I think it's a good time to stay grounded, know what it is exactly you are here to do, and then when the time is right, when things open up, to put those things into practice.
Well said. I would expect your book to be coming out here shortly, by the way. Just on that one topic alone. Yeah, I think, there's a real case to be optimistic, and you should be. But I think this is also a call for listeners living in states that are either locked down or soon to be potentially locked down, to take an honest look at your inventory of every conceivable domain where there is inventory, your own psyche, the services you offer, your branding. I think, like you've said, or what you just at least alluded to, is that the downtime produces opportunity. There's always an opportunity in crisis. Always. It might be, hey, I need to rethink my general brand look and feel. Maybe I need to rebrand. Maybe I need to pivot entirely and add something new and focus on that, shift my priorities or whatever. But I think if folks are just optimistically, or let's say blindly optimistic without taking an inventory of where they are, their financial picture, et cetera, they're probably setting themselves up for unnecessary pain down the line, let's say. So how would you suggest people, maybe, because optimism, that's the easier thing. That's more mindset. But what are some of the things that you would suggest listeners do to tackle the other side of that paradox, to be honest with their current state, things they should maybe look at or re-explore, et cetera?
I think as a entrepreneur, we have to always be open to the pivot. So it's not a linear journey. We're going to come across dips in the road. We're going to come across potholes, and we have to be able to move with what the market is saying. So, I really don't know how other people are going to be able to do that. I know I am set up in a position where I'm not stressing about it too much right now. But I have a very steady, solid clientele base in a way that, I open up my calendar and I get booked out really quickly for months ahead of time. So not everyone is in that position, but building client loyalty is the way to put yourself in that position. And I think that being in contact with clients at all times during these lockdowns, sending out emails, checking in with people is really optimal. While we were initially locked down here from March until August, I still sent out a newsletter every couple of weeks, checking in with people, letting people know how I was doing, reaching out to customers, sending self-help things that I was reading on the internet, just letting people know, hey, I'm thinking about you. I hope you're doing okay. You know, take a big, deep breath. We're going to get there. You have to find a way to connect. And if you connect, you know, I think we're going to be okay on the other side of it. But this is how I feel. You have to kind of position yourself where that you offer a service that they don't want to let go of. You know what I mean? Your value has to really shine in their lives, both I think personally and in a business sense. You know, you can't afford to just drop off for a few months and okay, everything's chill now, so I'm not going to do anything. No, you have to reach out. You have to stay connected. You have to stay visible. Stay visible is what I would say.
Or stay forgotten if you fail to do that. I mean,
that's
the consequence of not doing that, right?
Exactly.
So how, I mean, you just told us what you do, but how do you do that? How do you actually do that?
I think it's if you look at I think it's important to obviously gather information when you take a client. So you want to get their email address, you want to get the telephone number, you want any opportunity to, I hate to say market, but you need to capture that information so that you can be in constant contact. There's nothing wrong with making a personal connection with people, and especially when you're in such a setting like body work where people are, you know, getting on a table with you and allowing you to touch their body and being in that space where it's more intimate. It's okay to, you know, in my opinion, have a friendly conversation, check in with people, remember people's stories. It's important to build that connection. And so, you know, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that just walking into so-and-so place and they just look at you, okay, let's go, get to the table, get it done. You have to really show up for each and every appointment. And that's how I think you do that. You want to invest your time in every appointment that you're in so that people want to come back to see you. You know, I think it's kind of like it's a sales job, you know, you're always on.
Pro tip, everyone is always selling. If you think you can go through life without having to sell, you are grossly misinformed because every brushing of shoulders with another human being is an act of selling, of getting and holding attention, conveying an idea, getting someone to sign up, converting an inbound lead that's calling you off of Google because they just search for the closest massage therapist or spa near them. The moment you get them on the phone, and this is actually a call to remind listeners that have receptionists to train them in how to convert inbound leads to paying customers. And there's a science to that. I think, I mean, I don't know if you'd agree, but I think a lot of people fail in that because receptionists, or frankly, even the owners of the spas and centers for massage, et cetera, they've never really taken the time to see the world through the eyes of in this case, with let's say an inbound lead, what their universe is like and what they want and need, et cetera. And so there's just this like almost lack of empathy, which you could say that selling is really just having the capacity to see the other person's side and finding ways to deliver the value that they're looking for, or the solution or the outcome or whatever. But would you say that there's some sort of opportunity for, just briefly touching on that note, with receptionists and conversion? I think a lot of people have no shortage of possible customers, but they fail grossly to either convert them, which is the first part of that funnel, no less retain them, which is what you were alluding to with, you know, having that connection, et cetera. But actually, 180, here's a better question. What would you say is, along these lines, is one of the bigger areas of opportunity or areas of mistakes that spa owners, massage therapy center owners make within this domain specifically? Because I want to know if my read is off or not on the conversion rate.
Okay, so I graduated massage school in 2003, and I was a lot younger then. I was in my 20s. And I will tell you, the people that I went to massage therapy school with, of the people I'm still in contact with, not one person is still practicing massage. I am the only person from that graduating class that is still practicing massage and has made a career out of it. And here's what I noticed very early on in that experience. The people that get into massage therapy are like granola people. You know, they're very like, oh, let me just put my hands on you, let me touch you. You know, they're taking in information, but they are people that want to go to the beat of their own drum. They're not typically type A people. They want to just like do the work, but don't do the work that is going to get you to the next appointment. So, you know, sometimes people can be flaky in massage school. The people that come to massage are not people, in my experience, that are people that are good about keeping a calendar. So if you're going to get into this type of body work, you really do need to be disciplined in the way that you're going to do the work that's required of you in the studio, but then also do the work that is required of you to build a business and a brand. And that is two entirely different things. And that's a discipline that you get and you stick with. There are times that, you know, people don't have that. And you have to want to do that. You have to want to build a business. If you do not want to build a business, then you should be doing massage for somebody else, because this is I hate to say it, because I feel oppositely. I think massage everyone needs. It's crazy important to take care of your body. Your body, you only have one. So if you don't take care of it now, when you're older, you're going to be feeling all the pains and the discomfort that come along with an aged body. But people don't see that it's a business that you have to actually work. You have to be a successful entrepreneur in this type of business that people want to say is a luxury. You know, when things go bad in someone's finances, the first thing to go is the luxury stuff. It's massage. But if you sell yourself, because being an entrepreneur in this business is a sales job. If you sell yourself as you are an integral part of their self-care and how they're taking care of themselves, you will not be the first thing that gets chopped off the block. And that is something that I've learned, and not everyone can put their nose to the grindstone, because massage people are like fluffy people, you know, they're like crystals and incense and all these things, chakras and all these things. But you do have to stick to a calendar. You do have to learn how to be a marketing entrepreneur. You do have to learn how to build a brand if you want to be successful, especially in the way that social media has become such a huge part of the way people shop for things now.
Well, what percentage of massage therapists would you say actually stick to a calendar?
I don't know, maybe I really couldn't tell you. I know I stick to my calendar. I live by that massage calendar. So my booking system dictates my entire life. So I don't know, maybe 20%. Everyone else is kind of flaky in what I've experienced, you know?
Wow. Yeah, it's interesting because when we book meetings with Cryoskin, with my sales team, with a lot of people in the industries that we serve, it seems like the show rate is like 40 to 60%. And I think it's because most people are not living their lives disciplined on the back of a calendar, which I think, you know, which is fine. This is not to moan and complain.
Yeah.
But I think for the listeners, if you're not living your life in some sort of structured fashion, you're going to be inefficient with your time. You're going to make less. Right. You're not going to grow and scale as fast as you'd like, because you're just not going to be as efficient. So your return on time is going to be a bloodbath. And moreover, you're going to be held hostage to the circumstances of the day. God, I got this new thing that just came up, and you're not being diligent and intentional with the way that you're spending your time. And so, the saying that I like to tell my team is that if you don't take control of your time, the world will take control of it for you. So you have to be
That's right.
resolute and say, like, maybe for a mother, 8 to 9, I'm playing with my little boy, and you can piss off, universe. I'm not going to answer calls. I'm playing with little Johnny, and that's it. Or from 5 to 6, I take my wife out for dinner every night, and I don't take calls or anything
Right.
else. I don't allow it to get in the way of my life. And so time blocking is, I think, something that people really miss out on. A lot of people that I've been talking to, when I push them on, for example, figuring out or answering the question, why, or do you know why you exist, meaning your business? Why is your business alive? Why does it have a pulse? And they don't know. I don't have any time. I couldn't possibly spend the time to think about why I exist, my mission, or whatever. It's like, well, do you have 24 hours in a day? You do. Okay. Does Elon Musk have 24 hours in a day? Got it. He's running 3 companies and changing the industries in all 3. And he has the same amount of time that you do. And the reason he can pull that off, guys like he and Bill Gates, who in some cases are extremely diligent with their time blocking. I think I read an article about Bill Gates who chunks his days down into 5-minute intervals. So, which is kind of insane because he's context switching left and right.
Right.
But there's something about taking control of your time that I think is invariably going to be, probably for many, one of the most significant improvers of their efficiency, productivity, general life satisfaction, because they're not being hostage to circumstance. There's intention.
That's right. So, I mean, I can tell you, as a person who runs my own business and is an entrepreneur and is self-employed and also a single mother, like every moment of my day is accounted for. Like I'm up at 4 a.m. to work out. Like I have things that have to get done, and they have to fall into these buckets of time, because once I go into the studio, I'm in massage mode, and I have to make sure I'm 100% present for that client, because the work, it begins there. Once you're in the studio, hands on a client, that is what they're coming back for. Mm-hmm. So if you're not present and knowing where you're going to be 95 minutes from now with the next client, you're not engaged in what you're actually being paid to do. And then, I think it's very, very important to be thinking about the next session when that session ends. So let's say I have Molly and Molly's appointment is done. Let's make sure before she leaves, we book the next appointment for the follow-up, whether it be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. I always tell people, when you're getting body work, you don't want to go past a month. Anything we've done here today will be completely gone and lost if we go past a 4-week period. So that keeps my calendar full as well. You always want to be booking ahead, giving people things to do in the meantime, whether it be a heating pad or look at these stretches, and you have to follow through. So if I tell someone I'm going to send them a bunch of stretches that they should do, I make sure it's on my to-do list, and I send them the email with a link for all these stretches. You are taking care of them. And I like to think of myself as a wellness consultant, not just a massage therapist, not just as an esthetician. I am helping them in all of these areas. And so I want to be able to be accountable for what I am helping my clients achieve when they're with me. But that takes time, and you have to have time to do it.
Yeah. And that only leads to greater stickiness with your customers and their allegiance or loyalty to you, is when they see that you care enough to, I don't know if you're shooting them a text the week out before their next meeting or appointment or whatever, saying, hey, how are the stretches going or whatever. It just shows that you give a damn, and that is enticing. It's catnip, because the world is largely cold and disinterested in your well-being. And when somebody finds a therapist that actually takes the time to say, hey, I have no agenda here except for, are you okay? How are you feeling from the last treatment? Are you okay? Are you blah, blah, blah? So show that you care. And I think you'll win customers for life, for the listeners that are struggling to find the secrets of retention with the customer base that they have. That is a healthy starting point, I would say.
I would say so. And then here is also, something that I will sometimes say to people. You can teach anybody, honestly, about kinesiology and where a muscle inserts and where it originates, and what's connected to this, what's connected to that, how the body works. You can teach anybody that. That's just a few kinesiology classes. That's anatomy classes. That's stuff you're going to learn in massage school. But what you cannot teach everyone is the touch. You cannot teach everyone touch. And if you have a touch that is different than Jane down the road or Bob up the hill, that is what's going to continue to bring clients back to you as well. And that is something that you have naturally, and that's something that you build and cultivate. You have to build that craft. You have to build it. And I think that that's a lot. That's the secret ingredient for massage work is touch.
Yeah. And I think that the average person today who may be living alone or short on social interaction, I think human beings are starved for that. And so
absolutely,
I think that this shutdown, if for Californians this is already happening, but if this happens in other states, I think as long as we can hunker down and we have some cash in reserve to float a month, 2 months, however long this damn wave of lockdowns lasts, the pent-up demand for massage is going to overflow once we open the doors again. So again, another reason to be optimistic as a therapist, in my opinion. Well,
people will come and find you. People are working from home, and so they have more flexibility in their day. People are taking time off of their work day, their lunch hour, instead of just grabbing something to eat now, they're running and coming and getting a massage. And that is what I've experienced. And that's people I wouldn't see usually in the middle of the day, I'm now seeing in the middle of the day. So the market is going to change because of that. And you need to be available and open to how you're going to pivot your practice because of the work from home dynamic. It's going to be very profitable if you can hang in there.
Yeah. So I think along those lines, one of the things people that are focused or have their businesses focused around therapy, massage therapy specifically, obviously not cognitive therapy, that's a different animal entirely, which I'm sure their calendars are overfloweth in the middle of all the lockdowns as well. So I'm sure the therapists that are doing psych work are booming at the moment. But this is not a show about psychological or psychoanalytics or anything else of the sort. But for therapists that are in the massage universe, one of the concerns that I hear all day long, the more I talk to people that are massage therapists running their own practice, et cetera, is that they're concerned about longevity or the corollary, which is burnout. So how, or what would you say are some of the secrets to longevity? Because you, as you remarked, you said that you, out of the cohort, I believe you said, that graduated from the same school that you did a decade or longer ago, you're the only one that is essentially still surviving, no less thriving. So what would you attribute the longevity to? Is there some secret concoction formula? Do this, don't do that. This is what you should do, etc. That would be helpful for the listeners.
So I graduated massage school in 2003, and I do honestly feel like I had an upper hand because my father owns a business and is self-employed. And so I had lived my whole life with an entrepreneur who built a business from nothing and afforded his family a nice lifestyle. So I understood every single day of my life, the discipline that my dad put into building his business. And because of that example, I feel like I was able to persevere in that because I knew the work that I had to get done in order to do it. But it's very important as a massage therapist to take care of your body. You need to be well. You need to be healthy. You need to be rested and hydrated and stretched and all these things, because you are an example of what you want to convey to your clients. If you're not taking care of yourself and being in a space where you feel grounded and healthy and well, they're not going to take the advice that you're giving them seriously about stretching, about hydrating, about getting rest, about taking things off of your plate. You really have to kind of show that example to people. Because if I were to come in there drinking, come into the studio and having 2 or 3 Red Bulls a day, and I was up doing the most and not taking care of my body and just being unhealthy, who's going to come in and pay for my advice? I'm a massage therapist and a health educator. So who's going to really take what I have to say seriously? Nobody. So you kind of have to walk the walk, I think. And not burning out is hard in this field, but if you listen to anything that your massage therapy teachers told you in school, body mechanics is key. If you live in your body mechanics and you know where your body is in the space according to the table and your client, you're going to go a long time if you take care of your body.
How do you take care of your body?
How do I take care of my body?
And I'll give you some further specificity. Like, what the hell do you mean? That's personal. My God. Here's what I mean. So as a therapist, I know, at least when my guy does massage on me, and he's a complete barbarian in all the right ways. He's just his forearms are like mountains, and I have to tell him, dude, you're killing me. But anyway, a guy like that who's really intense, I can't imagine his shelf life being longer than a decade, because it's a carpal tunnel, tennis elbow, arthritis, whatever. So are there specific things that you would say therapists, and they probably know this because they're damn therapists, so they should know how to take care of their body, but are there specific things that you do to make sure that you're not wrecking your body with the work that you do specifically?
I try to maintain a gluten-free lifestyle, and I try to really watch what it is I'm eating so that I don't have a lot of universal global inflammation in my body. Inflammation will really just kill you. And I do a lot of weight training. I weight train 3 to 4 times a week. I'm in the gym. Before my injury, I was in the gym 5 days a week. When I'm not in the gym, I'm walking, 4 to 5 miles a day. So all before my knee injury. So I tried to stay strong because, the stronger you are, the stronger your stroke also. So I really just try to take care of my physical body the best that I can.
Yeah. Get in the gym.
To show up. That's it. I think it's important,
Yeah.
It helps you with stress, and it also helps you, I think, in your business.
So you mentioned that, and this is a bit of a whiplash coming, so be warned from what we were just talking about. But going back to what you were remarking on earlier in the show, you said that California, specifically your area, is saturated with therapists. So what are some of the ways that you've tactically differentiated yourself and broke through the noise of the horde of therapists that are out there to stand out?
When I say that we're saturated with therapists, in my small town, there are these reflexology places, and there must be 8 or 9 of them. And that is not, for a town that's my size, it's a lot. And people don't realize that they're just not getting the same level of work that you're going to get from me. So people really wanted to start. You earlier said pricing is important. And so I think I set my pricing the right way because it separates me from all the monkeys in the barrel, people who are serious about their wellness, people who want work that is going to get them their results. If they want a whole experience, you have to separate yourself from everyone else. And that is what I did. There was a time where everyone was just like, oh, that's so expensive, I can't afford that. But when you think about it, it's really not that expensive. Massage is not expensive. because most people spend $5.25 a day on a Starbucks latte, 5-7 days a week. You start doing the math, you can afford a massage if you can just afford those calories and that coffee that you don't really need. At those price points, you can afford to do something good for yourself, which is take care of your body physically with getting body work. And when I explain that to people and I do the math to them, when I hear, oh, it's expensive, they really do take a moment and think about it. And, oh yeah, I guess you are right. I guess I am spending, close to $150, $200 a month on coffee. They just don't see it in that light.
Let's take a quick second here to address this, because I think a lot of people, there's two issues that I'm imagining therapists or crimes, let's say, to use a term a bit gratuitously, that therapists are guilty of. The first is that they're undervaluing their own self and their service that they offer, and that's reflected in their pricing. So this is a call to up your pricing, listeners.
Right.
If you think that you're worth it, and if you're not, then keep your prices where they are. And secondly, when it comes to dealing with price objections, I may or may not have read a sales book or all of them, roughly speaking. So let me give the listeners some advice on how to deal with that, because you effectively just hit it on the head. But let me take this and hopefully put it in a package that's digestible for people to get their heads around, because this invariably, I'm sure, comes up. I mean, is this a common thing for you, where you say, yeah, it's $95 for an hour, and they say, well, that's expensive? Is that common for you personally, Michelle?
Once upon a time, yes, but not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay.
And I say that with the confidence, because I have built a brand and a business because I'm confident in my work.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go anywhere and get lesser work, but if you want work if you want to spend the hour with me, that is the price. I don't wiggle down.
Yeah.
Maybe once upon a time, but once you've been in the business long enough and practicing long enough, it's worth your time,
Sure. Yeah. So that confidence bit is the other side of the coin. You have to be confident when you share your price. But here's a way to deal with that pushback that you might get from a potential customer. Yeah. So they say $95, too much. Never pay it. Take a hike. Okay. Well, how do you deal with this? Well, there's something called the boomerang effect. And I'm actually citing the wrong psychological phenomenon, I believe. Anyway, there is a psychological phenomenon, which when I tell you something that is directly opposed to your belief, so in this case, the price is a belief. 95 is too expensive. That's the belief that somebody might have. So the question is, well, how do you change that belief? Well, I'll tell you how you don't change it. You don't change it by saying, no, it's not. 95 isn't expensive. Because that'll lead to that individual thinking that their position is even more correct, and it reinforces their belief. So the only reliable way that you have to change someone's belief in the context of something like this, or opinion, or call it what you will, is to inject a bit of doubt to get them questioning their own belief. You might call it inception. Hashtag Leo DiCaprio.
Right.
But here's how you do that, though. So I think the activity that or the exercise that you walk them down with that like, not a thought experiment, but you say something like, hey, you buy coffee, right? Okay, great. What do you spend a day on coffee? $3. Got it. How many days do you get coffee a week? I don't know, 8. Okay, got it. So you found the 8th day of the week. Interesting. What is that weekly? $25 a week plus tax. Okay, so we're at $30 a week, and you go every day of the month. So that's what is that? $120 a month you're spending on coffee. So for less than the price of a cup of coffee a day, you could come see me and improve and change the quality of your life by just coming in for massage. And you give them a new way of seeing their position on price, reorienting them, and now they have something to contrast it with. And then you introduce doubt, and at that moment they have the capacity to change their belief and then ultimately become a paying customer as the ideal outcome there. So that's how you deal with that. You cannot, here's the fundamental takeaway from that big blather sesh here from me, is that you have got to understand, listeners, that when you push against someone's belief, opinion, whatever, all you do is reinforce their existing position. So the only reliable way to get them to change their mind is to show them that their position might not be optimal, correct, accurate, or whatever via doubt, which is the product of questioning. Hashtag Socrates. Okay, I'm done with the hashtags for today.
There you go.
There it is. There it is. Okay. All right. Well, let's see here. So many things we could talk about, and there's so little time. Why don't we pivot to a couple more brief questions? Then we'll wrap the show, and we'll let you get back to the work that you're doing out there in California. So I think some of the listeners, they want to know the secrets. What do you know that they don't know that has led to your success and being able to stay flourishing for the last 10 years? So why don't we come at this from a different angle? What do you think are some of the biggest mistakes that massage therapists make that if they could change would improve the quality of their life, their business, and otherwise, that they might be blind to?
I think one thing is not keeping a regimented calendar. I think people need to really stick to a calendar, offer online booking where people can see the times that you're available, make sure your available time is showing on your online booking, and, automate all of it. A lot of people aren't taking advantage of the automation aspect of the world that we're living in now. So, when I capture someone's email address, when they look at my website and they want to inquire about my services, I capture that information, I put it into my marketing system, and if they don't book at that moment in time when we're talking, I have their information where I can market to them later down the road. And I think that's crazy important. So find a marketing system that you can do that with, where it stores your information. I think people in the massage industry don't necessarily always do that, especially private practice people. Maybe if you're working, in a bigger chain company, they're doing that. But for, your own studio, you really do have to rely on those tools, not just keeping your own calendar and sending out a reminder email. Sure, maybe that works for some people, but, the system that I use captures the appointment, sends a reminder 48 hours ahead of time, and it sends the reminder at the time of the booking. So I think that's crazy important. People need to do that. They need to spend the money. It's not that much, and you need to be able to use those tools to market to people. Another thing is be confident in the work that you're doing, that it's not what anyone else in your area is offering. So if you're in an area where there's a huge, a chain company, like maybe Massage Envy, and you feel like you can't compete with that, sure, maybe you can't, but there are people who don't want the cookie cutter experience. They want a custom, bespoke service that is tailored to what they need on that day. Always ask, always check in. How's your body feeling today? I ask this question every single time I agree to client. Hi, how are you? How's your body doing today? How are you feeling in your body today? And people, oh, I'm doing great. And then the minute I come back into the room, actually, I was thinking about it. And I do feel like I have something going on in my sciatic nerves and bothering me, or I haven't been sleeping well. These are the cues you need to listen for, but you need to open up the opportunity to discuss it and not just get on the table, let's get to business. The session should evolve while they're on the table. It's an experience from the moment they walk in the door to the moment they leave. You have to be in tune with them every step of the way.
Automation, confidence, and signal detection, let's call it, which is to ask good questions. By the way, let me tell people what bad questions look like, because this might be helpful for consultations briefly. one of the things that I'm always railing on sales reps for is asking stupid questions, which I'm guilty of, by the way, as evidenced by, I'm sure, some of the questions that I've asked on the Body Beauty Show in its history so far, to be candid. But a good question, because what you're doing is essentially the same thing that we do. You know, when somebody comes in, you're doing a consultation, it's the same thing that any salesperson ever in human history has done, where they're assessing what's going on, where are things broken, how can we fix it, essentially.
Right.
So good questions are questions that provoke thoughts. And so in the context of a massage therapist, I'd imagine that your consultations aren't just, where do you hurt? Right. It's more comprehensive than that. It's more expert driven in such a way that the questions are almost an insight in and of themselves, because it gets the person to think about something they haven't already thought about. So their response is not necessarily just reflexive. Like if I ask you, how are you? You say, without fail, good, no matter what, because it's just a reflexive answer. It's a dumb question. A better question is something that produces insight and it gets the person thinking, wow, oh my God, I never thought of that. Thanks for asking. Boom, here's my answer. And now you have something reliable to work on. So I would say, listeners, when you're doing your consultations, which is where I think a lot of people fail, certainly massage therapy, certainly in the spa realm, is they assume that what the customer to be, because they're not a customer until they pay you, side note. A lot of people call people customers that are not customers in reality until they pay you. But the mistake that people make is they don't ask questions to get at the actual root cause of what the issue is. And particularly in massage, you know, having some grasp on anatomy and the way the body works and musculature and the rest of it, oftentimes where the pain is not its actual source of origin. So it's referred from some other area.
That's right.
So it requires questions to get at the root of it. So ask better questions, listeners. That's my implication or imploration.
Right.
Let's call that a word.
That's the opening question. And then they'll tell you, oh, my hip's been hurting. And then you're going through the session and you're feeling some tension, you're feeling some tightness. And then you can ask, okay, have you been sleeping more on this side? Do you feel like when you're driving, you're putting more weight on this hip? Yeah. You know, those are the questions that you need to ask, because you can help correct these things with your clients if you're asking the right questions. It needs to be an exploratory type of dynamic throughout. And then also, you know, I work very intuitively. So when I'm working, I have a sense of what I need to get working on. And so that's a skill also you develop over time as a therapist. Not everyone can do it, but, you know, some people can. So really listen to the client's body when they're on the table and what their body is telling you about what may be going on in their life. But that's a whole other realm of looking at things and breaking things down.
Well, in the words of John Mayer, your body is a wonderland.
Yes.
help people see that their bodies are a wonderland, a wonderful source of pain that originates in distally related areas half the time. But in any case, okie doke. We are overtime just about, but I want to leave the listeners with a couple actionable takeaways, let's say, that they can deploy in their businesses tonight, today, this morning, in 2030, 2050, whenever they find the show. What would you say are some of the biggest, most impactful lessons you've learned as you built this business? Let's call it the top. Let's just say the top. So, and I'll set this up with a bit more preamble to give you some idea of what I'm getting at. Imagine I'm a coaching client of yours. I'm just starting a therapy center. Maybe I want to get into aesthetics and spa type services. What would you say is the number one thing that I maybe should do and shouldn't do? And that could be a treatment. Maybe that's some new hot product you're looking at. And this is thematically the section of the show called Levers and Landmines. But what would you say are some of those levers and landmines or things that you would suggest people do or don't do based on your experience all these years?
I think it's extremely important to get with a company that can help you with marketing tools and automating your business. That is extremely important. In this day and age, you have to be able to market. My email distribution list is over 1,500 people. So I have a lot of clients that I market to regularly, a couple times a month, once a week. It just depends on what's going on. Be up on trends in the beauty industry, things that may be happening. Do some research, watch some videos. Think about ways that you can dip your toes into other fields. You know, I started off as a massage therapist, and that's my passion. And although I love massage, I am also very passionate about skincare. So when the time was right for me, I enrolled myself in beauty school, and I do both. So it's a one-stop shop. You know, I schedule the massage, and after the massage, they have their facial. So I take care of two different aspects of people's lives. People are going to want to be getting skincare with these mask mandates all over the country. People's skin is wrecked right now. So if that's something that you always had an interest in, maybe this is a time to research what you could do to incorporate that into your business. Staying in touch. I think staying in touch is so important. You must stay in touch with your clients. If you do not, you will be forgotten because they have other stuff going on in their lives. So that's where marketing becomes very important. Landmines. I mean, once upon a time, they had all these people running these, what were they called? Groupons. And I got sucked into that once upon a time. And that was a mistake for my business. Don't do it. If you're just starting out, it sounds like a good deal, but don't do it. Stick to something. Word of mouth is always great for the type of services like body work. But you also need a presence online with marketing and, you know, Instagram and Facebook. You need to be out there. People aren't just going to magically find you. You need to put yourself out there.
Well, we're out of time, and there's more to talk about. So we'll have to have you back on the show down the line. Yeah, thanks for sharing all that. I could not agree more. So how can the listeners connect with you if they want to do so out in the future?
My website is Absolute Bliss SkinSpaStudio.com, and there is a little message area there where you can leave me a message and we can chit chat. I'm also on Instagram at Absolute Bliss Skin Spa Studio. So you can reach out to me in either of those platforms.
Love it.
And if you're in the Bay Area and you are stressed and tense after this lockdown and you're in the East Bay and want to come in for body work, schedule with me. You won't regret it.
Go see Michelle, or else you'll miss out and get an inferior massage when you could have been touched by an angel. Hashtag that 90s TV show that my mom forced me to watch as a kid. Anyway, all right, we're out of time. Michelle, I've had a blast. Again, this has been Michelle Castro from Absolute Bliss Skin Spa Studio in Castro Valley, California. And I'm glad we can make this happen. Thanks for being on today.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.